so I don't really know how to begin, but me and my wife Ren and our 2 boys, we're traveling from California to Idaho to go buy a RV for a camping endeavor. And we ended up going through Oregon next to Sprague River. It was us and our 2 boys, Ro, Elliot, and our little Boston Terrier Kit Kat. As the sun was setting, we began our hunt for a campsite for the night. Mind you, at this time, we didn't have much, a small 4-person tent. A couple chairs, something to cook on, and a little ice chest. We're in a little gray Prius. After all, when we finally decided on the place to go camp for the night, we were on a seemingly endless highway, on a curve that seems to never end. We were greeted by a small, friendly-looking woman who came out of the main building and began describing the park and all the amenities, and proceeded to walk down the long, narrow path that seemed to cut through the trees. And about halfway through conversation with Jenny, I think that was her name, well, Jenny started telling us a story of how we're on old Native American land and people that live around the area go missing sometimes, and told us there's blue-green algae in the river to not let our dog drink it, or she will die. I was a little uneasy at this point, but we had already paid, and she was showing us to our spot. I noticed a couple RVs on the way in. I was thinking as she proceeded to tell us, there's a man that might come by, and don't do anything he tells you to do, because it's probably against the rules. We must have walked past 20 empty spaces by this point, and the trail just kept going like knife through the trees. The air was damp and musky, heavy. Even she put us all the way by the trail marker on the back end of the campsite nearest to Sprague River. Just a small shrub separating us from the rushing water, and a large rocky beach. This seemed very odd. At this point, there was a maintenance man clearing campsites. He had at least 5 or 6 of them done near the front in a light grassy area. But we were put in the far back near the rocks, the terrain. And even I had to clear a spot to pitch the tent for the night. Finally finished clearing the rocks and got the tent pitched at this point. The shadows of the trees were dancing across the forest floor. So I lit a campfire preparing for dinner. Don't remember what we had in my mind. Was elsewhere. What did that lady mean by putting us back here? The algae, the missing people. The man that tells us to break the rules have only seen 2 people this whole time. The maintenance man, Jenny, and what looks like some broken down RVs. That's it. At this point, I had the fire going pretty well. It was almost complete twilight. The moon now lit the forest with an eerie shadow of the trees above the flames. The fire stretching out to lick the night sky, as if to taste it. The light of the campfire illuminating our desolate campsite, Ro and Elliot fast asleep at this point. Sounds of the river fill me and Ren's ears as we sit together watching the fire slowly die. We begin talking about today's events. You know, the dog, the missing people, and the mysterious man. And we end up joking about skinwalkers as we both love a good horror movie. With that, we went to go lay in our tent. And we both noticed that it seemed silent, like too silent. The roar of the water, the sound of crickets chirping other nocturnal animals. There was nothing. It was as if silence draped over the forest. But the trees still danced shadows from the moonlight on top of our tent. We laid there for a long while, listening for anything. Nothing, she said, as she turned in for the night. But I was uneasy from the day, so I got up for a cigarette, stepping outside the tent. Waves of emotions sweeping over me, still silent outside. What does all this mean as I light my cigarette, lightly shaking from the northern air, crisp but not too cold? This whole day has been weird. What does the silence mean? Jenny seemed pretty off. Same with the maintenance man, never breaking gaze from his work, stoic and focused, and still this mysterious man. Just then I hear the snapping of some twigs in the distance past us where the campsite ends, and the forest seems an endless gas of shadows and twisted branches. My mind playing tricks on me. I guess I said aloud quiet enough as to not wake anyone. And there is again snap a cracking through the forest. It sounded clear. Right this time, like something standing up on 2 feet, still too far for the moon to shine light on. Whoever or whatever this is clutching my knife. I keep on my side, unbuttoning the clasp that holds it in. I lightly yell, "Who's there? Any one." I get nothing back but a disturbing silence that seemed to go on for hours now, only broken by my family's breathing and the cracking of the branches that echoed in my head. What is this? The fire. Just small red embers, lightly masked in the ash. The trees still dancing, their shadowy dance on the forest floor. And again, crack the closest one yet, as if whatever it was fell. I heard a scuffle.